Our next guest today is Tom Bell, CEO of Cousins Properties, one of the nation's largest mixed-use developers. Tom, thanks for being here. I appreciate your time on the show.
I'm delighted.
Very interested to know what changes you have witnessed in the development of the Atlanta region in the past 10 years.
Well, we're a growing city, and we're continuing to grow, and we're growing very fast, fastest in the United States, as a matter of fact. And expect some 7 million plus people here in 2017. So I think the impact of that growth is changing how we develop. You know, the transportation issues have gotten extremely difficult. We have other environmental and water quality issues that we have to deal with. I think what we're going to see in the future is more inward development. I think people are going to be coming back into the urban centers, a little different product in terms of their living area. I think we're going to see a lot of mixed-use developments. And we're going to have to encourage that kind of development if we're going to continue to grow and sustain our quality of life.
Some would argue that the live, work, and play developments, which are often honored for these developments of excellence, are the way to go. What are the benefits? And you would argue these are not new, we're sort of revisiting, but what are the benefits of the live, work, and play?
Well, the benefit is, the two biggest benefits are that it provides a good quality of life for people. Everything's close by. You don't have to spend an hour every morning, you know, north to south on 400 or coming up from Henry County. You can do a lot of things walking or, you know, riding your bike or just taking a short drive. And those are all big pluses. The disadvantages are, from some people's perspective, is, you know, a lack of privacy. I don't have my own yard, you know, my own fenced yard with my happy dog in the back, and I don't have my 5,000 square foot floor plate. I've got, you know, 2,500 feet, and I have neighbors close by. So it's sort of a trade-off. But if you want to solve the transportation issues in Atlanta, the only way to do it is put people closer to where they work. I'm
going to say this with a caveat. Right now, the environment, the economy is not boding well. And so some of the demands may be down, may be lacking, but generally speaking, what do people want?
Right now, I think the demographics, the markets are very powerful in changing how we develop here in the metro area and really throughout the new cities of the South. I mean, we've grown up now. You know, we are an urban center, you know, an honest to goodness city, and that's what we are, and that's what we're going to be, and we're going to grow. So I think people, it's sort of funny. Younger people are staying in town longer, in urban areas longer, because they're getting married later and having kids later. And then older, my generation, the boomers, we're all coming back.
Despite the fact that they complain that they don't have the big backyard and the big floor plan, they actually are looking for the urban centers. And it's young and old.
Right. Once the kids are gone, you can make new and different choices. And I think a lot of them are making the choice to come back. Now, right now, the market is stagnant. It just can't quite move, but that's going to change. And when it changes, what we'll see is much more infill development, much more development around urban centers. And I don't mean just the city of Atlanta, you know. There are lots of urban centers. Cumberland Galleria is an urban center. Alpharetta area, North Point's becoming an urban center. So, but they'll move closer to those areas, and they'll be a little closer to where they, well, actually a lot closer to where they work and where they go to eat and where they watch a movie and etc.
Look at the hurdles, and you sort of touched on them. We have a lot of governmental agencies. Some people would still like the idea of having the puppy in the backyard, but what do you think are the biggest hurdles, say, over the next 10 years?
Well, there's significant developmental hurdles, which I'll talk about second. The most immediate hurdle is that most of our governments aren't really set up to improve this new sort of development, because that density is going to create more traffic. We already have too much traffic, and in fact it's the opposite. If you can put people closer to where they work, traffic is reduced significantly, because face it, they're already coming there, they're just coming from 20 miles away. So give them an opportunity to live closer to where they work. And I think the other big thing that's happened here as we've spread out is we've created more and more governments, and we continue to create governmental entities, you know, with new towns and townships and municipal areas.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's probably a bad thing. I mean, good for them, I guess. But you have 5.5 million people in the greater Atlanta area, and almost 170 governmental entities, and they're uncoordinated one with the other, making decisions about our lives every day on where we should go and where we can go and how we should get there.
Is the dialogue happening? Because I've had guests on this show before that have said, you know, we are beginning to talk, we are beginning to have the right conversations. Are we? Yeah,
I think the ARC is doing a good job, for instance, in bringing people together. And we do have a very good, probably the best leadership we've had among the big counties in quite a while. More professionalism in local government, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. But still, they have their own constituencies, and in a lot of cases, those constituents would like their town to be a little island in the middle of Metro Atlanta, you know, with none of the difficulties of being part of a big urban area.
But that's not, you cannot live as an island.
You cannot be an island in the midst of Atlanta. And it's interesting to me, you know, I moved here from New York or Greenwich, Connecticut, working in New York, and when you say to someone who lives in Roswell, where do you live? And they're outside of Georgia, they say, I live in Atlanta. If you say, where do you live inside? They say, well, I live in Roswell. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's all Atlanta, really. It's not the city of Atlanta, but the brand is Atlanta. And we need to figure out how to build and improve the quality of life in Atlanta together. All
right, in summary, before I let you go, how do we stay on the top or on the edge or ahead of the curve when it comes to city planning for the metro region?
Well, I think the most important thing for us to do is pay attention to markets. You know, you cannot legislate away a market. So pay attention to what the markets are doing. I think the markets are offering us some real opportunities. People want to come back into town, and that's going to help us in many ways, as we've discussed. So make it easy, you know, to create that product. Provide some incentives to your developers and your investors to provide multiple price points in housing. You know, give them a little extra density if they'll produce that for you, so you can get more people back into town. And embrace this idea of live, work, and play. And try to put it where you either have infrastructure in place that's underutilized, or where you can put infrastructure in place to utilize.
All right. With that, I say thank you very much, Tom Bell.
It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure to have you.